I just saw an interview with Senator Lamar Alexander, who was asked about, the Senator Lamar Alexander, who is asked about, the pressure on the federal government in its upcoming legislation to provide more aid to the people who've suffered economically during the pandemic and the lockdowns. And at least according to him, I would not get your hopes up.
There's not enough money to help everybody hurt when you shut down the government. So the only solution is test, trace, isolate, treatments, and vaccines. So the fast track on testing is the only solution to this. So we have to reopen the economy. We have to do it carefully. We have to let people go back to work and earn a living. And I don't see us being able to appropriate much more money to help provide a counter to that.
Okay, so no, there's just not enough money. And by the way, he says the things that we should do, testing and contact tracing, all of that, those are good. Yeah, do those. But in terms of more aid to the people, I hope that you saved, some of that $1,200 that they gave you, because it's going to have to last for a bit, hypothetically.
I mean, this is the thing, though. It's like, y'all are need to come up with a solution. And again, if you don't have tests and you don't have a vaccine, then guess what, homies? You're going to have to provide more money. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have to provide it to people. So once again, Carnival Cruises back on. They're going to open in August. They've got great rates, and people are buying tickets. I don't know why, but businesses are getting bailouts. Medium-sized businesses to large business corporations that didn't even need it. And word on the street from the next bailout package, or the next stimulus package, that's going to include tax breaks, because of course Republicans are going to try, as they already have done with the last few rounds of stimulus budgets, to make as much money for themselves and to their shareholders and to, millionaires who have increased their wealth in these months.
Yeah, 100%. Has Lamar Alexander ever said there's just not enough money for the military or for tax cuts or for, assisting businesses, for instance? After all, they handed trillions of dollars in stimulus to big businesses. Super blasé. It was just casual. It took them a week to put together a bill to hand over trillions of dollars. And they're like, Steve Mnuchin will take care of the details. I trust that guy. But aid to the actual workers, no. And what makes it so insulting is it would be one thing if it was just, we don't care about the workers. We're just not interested. We're not going to help them. But we're not interested in them. We're not going to help them. But at the same time, we're going to use pretend concern for their economic situation as the argument for why we need to forcibly send people back to work ASAP. That's right. What they do. They say it's because people are suffering and people have lost their jobs, so we have to reopen right now, even if the states that we're reopening haven't met even the White House's low threshold for dips in cases and all of that. We have to go back because people are suffering. What? Help the people? No, can't possibly do that. There's not money for that. That's what's so insulting about this, is that there is this fake dichotomy between staying shut down forever, opening up forcefully, as if the government can't get involved in helping people to get by an extended lockdown without losing their house, losing everything, basically going bankrupt, all of that. It's just fake, and I hate that the media has been complicit in helping to sustain that false dichotomy.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's also a time, whether Republicans like it or not, all of this is going to backfire on them, and Democrats too, right? Because I think workers are developing a lot of class consciousness right now. They understand that when they're being asked to go back to work and put their lives at risk, they're going back to make their bosses more money. They're going back to make millionaires more and more millions, billionaires more and more billions, okay? They're not just going back for themselves. I mean, these are people who've been asking for raises for years now. So what are we really talking about? So actually, I think they're politicizing the hell out of the working class. I don't think it's a good thing, right? But I think where we're headed could be something like a renewed labor movement, which I think is really necessary.
Yeah, 100%. A little bit more on this because we are expecting that eventually Congress is going to come back into session and try to put together something. But again, hopes should probably be kept at a low level. Larry Kudlow, President Donald Trump's top economic advisor, said on Friday that formal negotiations with Congress over the next COVID-19 stimulus package have been suspended, even as other White House officials predict the U.S. unemployment rate could surpass 20% by next month. One of the reasons that probably hasn't deterred them from suspending the negotiations is that hurts the working class. It doesn't hurt them. And in fact, they'd be perfectly fine with a lot more people out of work, because then once they start rehiring, people are going to be desperate. They can pay them less benefits, all of that. And bear in mind, under the CARES Act, which Trump signed into law in March, expanded unemployment benefits are set to expire by July 31st without additional action from Congress. Oh, and I'm sure that action's coming. I bet Republicans just can't wait to extend those unemployment benefits. And after I acknowledged this on Twitter over the weekend, the thing that has angered the right wing the most since the very beginning of this was when they discovered that some people would temporarily make more money on unemployment than they'd made working. That got them more fired up than anything else since the beginning of this.
No, they hate that. They hate when individuals leech off the system, but if corporations do it, it's all good.
You want to see something that might make you mad, though? This is a Bloomberg tweet. It's to an article. And the tweet is, let me bring this up. Republicans say the U.S. deficit is becoming problematic. But then even better, down below, it's GOP rekindles deficit concerns, adding snag to talks on aid.
It's
like an old flame.
15.
What's that?
I said eat a pen 15.
Exactly. They talk about it as if, during lockdown, they just started texting again with their old flame, concern for the deficit. And maybe things will get going again. Probably around November, like especially if Biden wins, maybe we can get something going with this caring about the deficit and the national debt thing. That's what the Republican Party thinks.
Oh, no,
really.
They don't ever get to talk about the deficit ever again. Because again, actually, in the CARES Act, I believe, the first round, right, there was a loophole for millionaires so that they're actually getting tax write-offs right now. And again, this is not made up. They're making more money than they were before. They're keeping more of their money. So honestly, they never get to talk about the deficit. Kudlow doesn't care if we all die. He doesn't. That's his whole ideology. When the Fukushima Daiichi plant was, took on water from the tsunami in Japan, Kudlow says, well, the loss of life has been bad, but thank God the market loss isn't that bad.
Ugh.
Yeah, straight up said that on Fox News. He also wrote a whole op-ed right before 2003, I believe, before the U.S. invaded Iraq, saying that we should invade Iraq for the stock market. I mean, everyone was saying we need oil, et cetera, but they had the decency to, cover it up with, got to topple a dictator and weapons of mass destruction. No, Kudlow just went right to it. These are the people who are advising this president. There are no more dirtbags left.
Well, I'm so glad that you threw back to that. It's sort of similar, but I think it was Wilbur Ross. As Asia was getting decimated by coronavirus and it hadn't yet come here, or at least we didn't know about it because we weren't testing. He said, well, one of the side effects is that some of the jobs will come back to America. Yeah, it did turn out to be a great stimulus for job creation in the end. These are the best economic minds that they have.
Wilbur Ross, what was it? He couldn't believe that people couldn't survive on $7.25 an hour. What was that brilliant gem of a quote he had?
I find that very easy to believe.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.